Okay guys, this morning we're going to talk about the area of composite shapes and what does that actually mean and how do we calculate the area of a shape that's not a simple like square or triangle. So what is a composite shape? What do I mean by that? It is a shape that is made of other smaller simple shapes. And that's a lot of what we're going to be doing with geometry in this unit is we're going to look at composite shapes. So right now just two-dimensional, but like the next lesson will be three-dimensional. So one of the things that you're going to do is we're going to calculate the area of a composite figure. The question says, determine the area of the composite figure on the right. Now, one of the first things that you want to do, this is a composite shape because it's made up of different shapes. So step one is to break the shape into its smaller pieces. Now, in this shape, I'm noticing that I have up here, this is a parallelogram. I have a rectangle here, and I have a half circle that is cut out. So once you've got it cut into the smaller pieces, I'm going to label this one 1, 2, and 3. Your next step is to actually calculate the area of each piece. Now, I've given you guys in the lesson a handout of all the different formulas that you would need. So to make reference to that, if you want, have it up on your screen while you're doing this kind of stuff. It's even I have to look at it sometimes. I don't have them memorized, and I'm not expecting you to have them memorized either. So just use them for what you need. So we're going to do number 1, which is a parallelogram. And the area of a parallelogram, if you look at the sheet, is base times height. Now, from the diagram, I see that the base is 16, and they've given us the height of 9. It's both inches. So the area of the parallelogram is just 16 times 9, which gives us 144. Do not forget to do the units, which for us was inches, and it's inches squared. Let's do number 2, which is a rectangle. Now that one's easy. It's just length times width. So in this one, our length is 24 3/4. Now you can choose to write that 24.75. If you do 3 divided by 4, you get 0.75. So that's where I got the 75 from. So 24.75 and inches, and our width is 16. So we'll just multiply those two together. 24.75 times 16 gave me 396. And again, this is inches squared. The last shape is that circular piece, which is actually cut out, but we still need to calculate it. And it is a half circle. Now, I know that the area for the circle is pi r squared, but then I'm going to divide it by 2 because I only want half of it. So we'll find out what the area of the whole circle is, and then we'll divide it by 2. R is our radius, and since the whole diameter is 16 inches, half of that is our radius, which is 8 inches. So that's what we're going to use as our radius. So area is pi times 8 squared, and we're going to divide the whole thing by 2. Pi, you might have that on your calculator, but it's also, I'll put it here as well. Pi is 3.1415. 159. So we'll do pi 8 squared is 64, and then we'll divide by 2. So 64 times pi divided by 2 gives us 100.53. And again, this one is inches squared. Now, the idea of doing this is to find out what is our actual shape. Now, our actual shape is the parallelogram plus the rectangle with the circle cut out of the bottom. So, our total area is going to be 1 plus 2, but we're going to cut out the circle. So, we're going to minus our area of 3. So, 144 plus 396, and then we're going to subtract our 100.53. So just pay attention to what's included, what is like cut out or taken out. If it's cut out or taken out, it's subtracted. If it's added on, it's added. So once we've calculated this, 144 plus 396 minus 100.53, I get a total area of 439 and 47 inches squared. And that is how you do that. Let's move on to another example that's a little bit more complicated. So moving on to the second page, sometimes you need to use some of our things that we've already learned to find unknown sides that you need. So in this one, carpenters have constructed the frame for a house and will nail pressboard over the frame. Determine the area of the pressboard they need for the back wall of the house. So first thing I'm noticing is let's pick out our shapes. So we have a rectangle here. We're going to cut out a door. So that's cut out, meaning we're going to subtract it. And we've got this triangle at the top. Now, I did notice that they didn't give us our height. So we're going to have to figure that out. They gave us an angle, which is right here, which is 22 degrees. And we know that the length of this bottom part, but they didn't tell us the height. So we're going to find out what that height is. Since it's isosceles, like this length here, this length here and this length here are the same, it means that the height is right in the middle, so it's going to be half of this distance. Now, the other thing to note is notice in this example that they've given us meters for these, but they've given us inches here. So the other thing that we're going to want to do, so let's step 1, smaller pieces. 2, convert any measurements you need to convert. So in this case, I think I'm going to change our inches into meters. So there's two different conversions we can do. I know that 1 meter um, 1 meter is equal to 3.2808 feet. And each foot is 12 inches. So 3.2808 times 12 is 39.36 inches. So what I'm going to do is change that 33.5 inches into meters. So I'm just going to divide it by 39.36. So 33.5 divided by 39.36. So it's 0.85 meters. And the other one is 81.5 inches. And I'm going to do the same thing, 39.36. Which is 2.07 meters. So now we have everything in meters. The other thing I'm going to do is find my missing sides. Find any missing sides. So we have a missing side here, and we're going to use that triangle. It looks like this with 22 degrees. 8.53 divided by 2 gave me 4.265. And we're trying to find the height here, which is actually our opposite. And we have the adjacent. So opposite and adjacent means I'm going to use the tan. So tan 22, opposite is what we're finding because we're trying to find the height of that roof. Divided by 4.265. So we end up just moving that and multiplying. This should look familiar because we just did a unit on trigonometry. So if I calculate that times tan of 22, I get 1.72 is our opposite. So now we know the height of our triangle. So I can go back here and say that this is 1.72 meters high. All right, so I think we've got everything. We have our missing, we've done our conversions. We have our missing side that we needed. And now we're just going to calculate our pieces. So I'm going to start with the big rectangle. And that I did red. So our rectangle is just length times width. And that's 5.75 times 8.53. And that gave me 49.05 meters squared. So that was 1. I'll do the triangle next. Which is base times height divided by 2. Our base is 8.53. And then we found our height to be 1.72. And we'll divide that by 2. So I'll calculate that. 8.53 times 1.72 divided by 2. I got 7.34. Again, meters squared. And then I'm going to do our cutout piece, which is our door. And that's cut out, so we're going to subtract that. And remember, we calculated those sides because they were in inches. So it is a rectangle, so it's length times width. 0.85 times 2.07. And I get 1.76 meters squared. So now we have all the areas to each of our pieces. And then I'm going to just add and subtract accordingly. So we're going to do 1, we're going to add 2, that's the triangle, and we're going to subtract 3, which is the cutout. So 49.05 plus 7.34, and then we're going to subtract 1.76. 49.05 plus 7.34 minus 1.76 gives me a total of 54.63 meters squared. So we can go back to the question. Determine the area of pressboard they need for the back wall of the house. Now the total area for the pressboard minus that cutout is 54.36 meters. So you can write a sentence. They need 54.63 meters squared of pressboard. And that is how it is done. Take your time when you do these questions. Find out which shapes are you actually looking for, which ones are going to be added and subtracted, and then systematically go through it. You can do it like I did. I label my pieces and do the small calculations, and then just do the adding and subtracting together. Have fun with the practice questions, and that's everything for today. Bye, guys.